Hello everybody, this is Mysterious Onion. I've been wanting to do an instructional video for a while, so I decided to do one on a game I've been playing a lot recently, which is Smite. And I'm doing this video on my current favorite god, which is Kuang. Now, we should probably start by talking about his class. So Kuang is a mage class, but he's unlike any other mage in the game. Specifically, he is a melee attacker. You won't find any other mage in the game who attacks with melee, I don't think. If I were to compare Kuang to any god in the game, it would be Loki. Essentially, Kuang is a magical assassin. I compare him to Loki because they have fairly similar abilities. They both have stealth, they both have a boost that does extra basic attack damage, and they both have an ability that's good for clearing minions. The big difference between them would be their ultimates, but we'll get into those details later on in the video. So his first ability, Water Illusion, is a teleport that moves him a short distance forward and gives him stealth. The stealth lasts for 5 seconds unless he attacks or takes damage. When he teleports, he also leaves a water clone behind, which can be detonated by hitting the ability again, like so. So this ability is good for getting into fights as well as out of fights. Say for instance, you see somebody on their own. You want to catch them unawares. Obviously, I mean, this is the most obvious use for teleport. You go stealth, you sneak up on someone, and then you go ahead and you start delivering your combo. So the reason it's good for getting out of a fight is, say you don't have your ultimate ready, and you also have the rune Blink, which I do right now. We'll talk about the runes on items in a minute. I just want to get the abilities out of the way first. So you can blink in, do your combo, teleport away, and then explode. So you can see when you use when I use the teleport and detonate it right there. At level 1, it's not really doing all that much damage. I'll do it again just so you can see it. You can see he only did 50 damage. So at low levels, you're not really going to be using it a lot to do damage to your opponents. This is probably something that you'll be leveling later on, but it won't be something that you go for early. The only thing you want right off the bat is the ability to teleport a short distance and stealth. That's what you're mainly going to use it for. You're going to be using it to get in or get out of fights. His next ability, Dragon Call, is basically a stim and a projectile. So what this does is when you use this ability, he calls 6 dragons that just start sort of circling him. You can use the dragons to augment your basic attacks. It also augments your 3 ability, which we'll talk about more in a second. Or you can use it to throw a projectile at your enemy, like so. Each dragon does a set amount of damage, but also when you throw the projectile will end up slowing your opponent for a duration of time that depends on how many dragons you throw at them. So if you're just throwing one dragon, it'll only slow them for 1 second. It goes up by 0.25 seconds per dragon that you throw at them, so if you throw all 6 dragons at them, they're slowed for 2.5 seconds. It's not a huge difference from 1 second, but you do what you gotta do. I wouldn't throw more than one dragon unless I have no choice, or unless I'm gonna throw all 6 at him and get the max slow, so that I can try to close the distance a little faster. As far as the amount of damage that the projectile does, it's only 40 points of damage per dragon, plus a modifier based on your power. So I wouldn't really use it as an offensive ability. Most often I'm just going to use it to slow them down so that I can stay with them while I'm trying to attack them with basic attacks, or catch up to them so that I can hit them with my ultimate. There is a bit of misinformation about this ability online. I have seen comments that the dragons slow your targets. It's true and not true. As I said, if you use the projectile to throw the dragons at a target, the projectile will slow them. But when you're hitting them with your basic attacks while you have the dragons up, you are not adding any slow to your target. You only slow them when you throw it like that. Kuang's third ability is called Wild Storm. Now, he shoots a cone in front of him that deals damage. It has a very short cooldown, and if you have Dragon Call active, you will also throw a dragon. Now, again, I've looked at a lot of videos online. No one ever mentions how much damage the dragon does that's thrown from the cone, but I mean, that could probably be because it's fairly evident once you do it how much damage it actually does. Essentially, it does the exact same damage that the dragon does if you use it for a basic attack. So you'll see here, I'm going to use Dragon Call, do a basic attack, the dragon lands for 50 points, do a 3, the dragon lands for 50 points. So it's the same as when you hit with a basic attack while you have Dragon Call active. This ability is really good for clearing minions, because for the reasons that I just mentioned. It hits a cone in front of you, so you can hit multiple targets, and it has a pretty fast cooldown. I mean, the cooldown is only 7 seconds, even at level 1. So you can just keep doing it over and over again. I mean, at low levels, again, it's not doing too much damage, but when you get it up to higher levels, you will be clearing minions very quickly. So now we're going to move on to Kuang's ultimate, King of the Eastern Seas. Kuang grabs a single target, knocking them into the air and dealing damage. Now, the amount of damage that it does isn't really relevant at this point. What you really want to focus on, especially early in the game, is the execute threshold. If a target is below 30% health, Kuang will grab them, go into the air with them, and execute them automatically. This is really good for getting out of fights. Say if you get into a team fight, you can finish off your target and then escape without the enemy being able to attack you. You get to choose your landing location, and wherever you land, you will also deal damage. This will also heal you for 30% of your maximum health if you get the execute. So I will show you an example of how you can execute someone and then land and deal damage to another target so that you can go straight into your second fight. Alright, so we will move in. And I messed it up. Perfect. This is to be expected. There are ways to counter it, obviously. You know, he used his ultimate, and I was stupid and hit him while he was still in his ultimate. I did the damage from my ultimate, which still killed him, but we're looking for the execution. So here we go again. And hit him with that. There we go. And executed. Look at that beautiful dragon. Isn't he lovely, folks? Alright, and then we can go ahead and land on this Odin. And you can see it does more damage as we land. Each time that he successfully executes a target, he gains a stack. Each stack gives Kuang an additional 15 magical power and an additional 5% lifesteal. So when you can, as soon as you can, you want to get those executes. Get in there, deal your damage, and I dealt too much. Oh god, I can be so useless sometimes. Get in there, deal your damage. Don't want him to be immune when I go for it. And then grab him with the ultimate and execute. And we'll go and land on Odin. And there's your landing damage. We'll go in there. Let's go and do that one more time so we can see him fully stacked. And can't grab him. There we go. I was too far away. I'm dumb. There we go. Alright, we got him. Okay, so now that we have all 3 stacks available, he has an additional 15% lifesteal, as well as an additional 45 power. So for the stats, you can see it here. Base stats, it does 300 damage for your landing. It does 290 damage if you don't manage to execute your target. Now, the landing damage is only for your landing, for when you come down. When your target comes back down, they do not take an additional 300 points of damage. Okay, so we'll show you that now. Oh, well, actually, I can show you that with anybody. We'll just go to one of the Odin bots. I'll grab him. There he goes. He takes damage when I grab him. He does not take damage when he lands. This can be good, though. The knock-up gives you the opportunity, say, you use the ultimate to knock him into the air. As long as you have your teleport available, or maybe your R1, your 3, you can send him up, teleport, detonate, hit him again. So it's a great combo. You can deal significant damage all at once, and now with your teleport at max level, you're dealing some pretty good damage with the teleport. You're also dealing some pretty good damage with your 3 ability, and then of course, he takes the ultimate as well. Now, when leveling Kuang, personally, the first thing I want to focus on is Dragon Call. Now, there is some debate over whether to raise the level of Dragon Call or Wild Storm first. Wild Storm you can use to clear the minions really easily. Dragon Call boosts your basic attack damage. So personally, since most of what you're going to be doing to enemy gods is basic attacks, I want Dragon Call to go first. After Dragon Call, you're going to be raising the level of Wild Storm, then Water Illusion, and finally your ultimate. You're going to leave King of the Eastern Seas at level 1 for most of the game, because what you're using it for most is the execute, and the execute threshold doesn't change as you level it up, so there's really no need to. So at the early levels, like say specifically level 5, when you can get your ultimate at the earliest, you're trying to get your executes in as early as possible. So you're looking for a good 1v1, or better yet, looking for someone who's already hurt so that you can just stealth in, get a few quick hits to get him within the execute threshold, and then finish him off that way. So we'll start with an early 1v1. And there it is. Now, you have to remember, Kuang is a mage, so he is pretty squishy, especially at these levels. I did that fight without any items because the bots don't have items, and I just wanted us to be on even footing for the fight so that you get a good idea of how dangerous it is to take on a 1v1. You probably just want to focus on trying to get a quick kill on someone who's already hurt. At this point, you don't want to run the risk of running into a group of enemies and getting hit with multiple abilities at once, because again, you are a squishy, you will die quickly. So try to isolate someone if you can to get a good 1v1 in, but your best option is to probably go after someone who's already hurt so that you can get in there and get a free execute. So with this item build, personally, I like to play Arena mostly. I hardly ever play any of the other game modes because I just prefer the faster pace and the constant god combat between other players that you get with Arena that you just don't get in other modes. That being said, we will start with the relics. The first relic that I'm going to pick up is Blink. Now, the reason I'm going to pick up Blink first is because it can be really effective if you manage to hold on to your teleport until you've already dealt your combo. So with Blink Rune equipped, you can blink in, Dragon Call, Wildstorm, and then deal your combo and blink and use your teleport to get away. So if you're unable to secure the kill, if you don't have your execute or just can't use it, don't want to use it there, having your water illusion available at this point is really good so that you can get away if you're not going to be able to execute. If you can execute, I mean, just go in, do your execute, and then you can use the your landing to get away in case you start getting ganged up on by the end of the fight. That being said, you don't really want to go into team fights too often with Kuang. He is a mage. He is a squishy. Even with all of his lifesteal, you will be in trouble if you try to jump into a team fight and you don't time it properly. So, yeah, use Blink Rune to dive in whenever you can. That way you have your teleport to get away if you have to, because you can teleport and stealth, so you can put some distance, run away, and when they lose track of you, then you can go ahead and detonate. For your second relic, when it becomes available, I would choose either Aegis or Beads. Either one can be extremely useful if you get into trouble. I usually won't go Beads because as long as I'm not stunned, I can just use my teleport to get away. If I'm slowed or if I'm rooted, the teleport still works. I won't be able to move after the teleport until the root is over, but it will get me out of that spot really quickly, and then I will be invisible. So once the root wears off, I can still sneak away while I'm invisible before it wears off. So my pick most of the time is going to be Aegis. Now that we got the relics out of the way, we will talk about the rest of the build. I did mention before that I mainly play Arena, so that's what this build is made for. So just keep that in mind while you watch this video, because if you're going to go into Conquest, you might want to build it a little bit differently. Certain other things will take priority. So the first thing that I'm going to pick up, since we're playing Arena, is shoes. Pretty obvious. I mean, I think just about everyone gets shoes right off the bat whenever they play Arena, so there's nothing surprising here. The shoes that I'm going to go for, once I can get the full set, is Shoes of the Magi. The reason being, I don't feel the need, although the extra mana would be useful for Shoes of Focus, I don't really need the cooldown for Kuang, not for the way that I play him anyway. Other people may play him differently. Other people may want the extra cooldown so that you can get your teleport again fairly quickly. Again, this is my personal build as a newbie. This is my take on Kuang. The very next item that I'm going to pick up is going to be Demonic Grip. Now, the reason that we want Demonic Grip, we want the additional attack speed, and you want the additional movement speed as well that you get with Demonic Grip, because again, he's a mage, he is not very fast. The other great thing about Demonic Grip is its passive, so your basic attacks reduce your target's magical protection by 12% for 3 seconds, and you can stack this 3 times. So you can basically reduce their magical protections by 36% with just 3 quick basic attacks once you have this fully built. So the next item that we're going to pick up as soon as possible is Bancroft's Talon. Now, I want Bancroft's Talon because it gives you 100 magical power. It gives you an additional 15% lifesteal. So if you're having a hard time getting your passive going, this is a good way to get some lifesteal at roughly around early to mid game. And if you are getting your executes going, well, it's just a great way to get some additional lifesteal going. Now, the passive for Bancroft's Talon is that you gain additional magical power and lifesteal depending on how much health you're missing. This caps at 100 power and 20% lifesteal at 25% health. Now, gotta remember, Kuang is a squishy. You really don't want to be staying in fights, especially if you're down to 25% health. But if somebody does manage to bring you down that low, they are going to be sorry, because it will increase your strength as a result. The next item that we're going to be buying from the shop, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, so please forgive me if I get this wrong, is Telkeen's Ring. We want this ring because it boasts 90 magical power. We want the additional attack speed again, so now we're just throwing basic attacks like crazy, and it gives us an additional 10% movement speed. So now we will just be moving around the map so fast that we will be able to get in and out of our fights without much risk to ourselves. You still got to be careful, but at least now with the additional movement speed, we're moving a bit faster. The passive for this item is that your basic attacks now deal bonus damage of 10 plus 10% of your magical power. This effect does not hit structures. But we're playing Arena, so we're not really worried about structures. The next item that we're going to purchase from the shop is Typhon's Fang. Now, this isn't something that I've seen online. I don't see a lot of builds that use both Bancrofts and Typhons, but that's just the videos that I've seen. You may have seen videos yourself, or maybe you're looking at other places and you've seen people using both. Since Kuang has his passive and already gets 15% lifesteal if you get your executes, which hopefully you're getting, most people just wouldn't stack these together. But hey, this is me. This is my newbie build, so leave me alone. Alright, the reason we want Typhon's Fang, we get 80 power. It gives us an additional 200 mana, which again, I'm not really that worried about. It might be useful, but it's not something that I'm looking at. You get an additional 10% lifesteal, and the best part about this item is that now your healing obtained from magical lifesteal is increased by 40%, so you're getting even more health from the lifesteal that you have, and your magical power is increased by twice the amount of magical lifesteal that you have. So let's add it all up. 10 magic lifesteal from Typhon's Fang, 15 magic lifesteal from Bancroft's, and then another 15 magic lifesteal from your passive once you get it. So we're talking about 40% lifesteal. Double that, we're getting an additional 80 power out of all of our lifesteal. Then, if you also take into account Bancroft's passive, that's another 20% lifesteal potential when we're at low health, which is another 40 power. So if we look at our stats right now, we can see that it's bugged. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, nope, I'm just an idiot. We can see that we already have 40 lifesteal, 645 power, and when we add in the additional 40 power, 20 lifesteal from Bancroft's when we're at 25% health, we're looking at 685 power with 60% lifesteal. So we will be dealing significant damage with all of our attacks, and we'll be healing ourselves at the same time at an increased rate. The last item on the list is actually negotiable for me. We're going to start by talking about Soul Reaver. This is the one that I'm going to pick up most of the time. The reason we want Soul Reaver, we're getting 130 magical power, we're getting 300 mana, again, which we're not really all that concerned about. But the great thing about it is that the passive, your abilities deal an additional 2% damage of the target's maximum health as magical damage. And if the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up to a maximum of 7% of their maximum health if they have 2,750 health or more. So if you're going up against a tank who is just maxing out their health, you're going to be doing significant damage to them. If anybody is getting health items to increase their max HP, this is going to hit them harder. This is what I love about this item. So the only other item that I would pick up in place of Soul Reaver at this point in the game, remember we're talking about end game, this is the last item that you're getting, is Rod of Tahuti. Again, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. The reason we would pick up the Rod is it gives us 150 magical power and 30 MP5. Again, I'm not really all that concerned about mana because you're usually getting in and out of fights, backing up, and giving yourself time to recharge, or going back to the fountain to regen your mana anyway. The reason that this item is so great, though, is for its passive. Basic attacks and abilities gain 25% additional magical power against targets below 50% health. So basically, you run into someone who's less than half health, you're going to be hitting them hard. Depending on your magical power, this can be a significant boost. The reason that I would usually take Soul Reaver over Rod of Tahuti is if they have anybody on their team who has more than 2,150 health, then the Soul Reaver is going to hit them harder than the Rod will. And Soul Reaver will hit them that hard for every hit from an ability that they take, not just when they're below half health. So it's a really good way to tear through a tank if you have Soul Reaver versus Rod of Tahuti. Okay, and that is all for our Kuang newbie build. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Following is now going to be a clip of me, a video of me actually using this setup in an arena match. so you guys can actually see it in action. I hope you stick around for that. But if not, I hope that at least the information that I provided was helpful to you in making a choice of whether or not you want to use Kuang. I hope this perspective offered you something unique that you will find useful. And if you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you'll hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. You know, let everybody know. Hit that share button. Put it up on Twitter. Put it up wherever you can. All right, and thank you for coming.
I am the wisest and strongest of the... well, of everything, actually. Minions have... You have been weighed. You have... Killing spree! You have slain an enemy. Minions have reached your portal. You taste wonderful. An ally has been slain. Mighty sword! You have slain an enemy. To me, my brethren! Slain an enemy. I am invincible! An ally has been slain. Rampage! An enemy has been slain. Out of battle. one. Double kill.
Made a serious mistake.
An ally has been slain. Kneel before me! Double kill. Triple kill. Quadra kill. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Oh, you just robbed me! Damn you, Cupid! I had the penta! Oh. I'm not mad. I don't think I got him in time for the penta.
A dragon
was just
free.
But
An
goddamn.
enemy has been slain. You have slain an enemy. A mighty sword! An ally to me, my brethren! Rampage! Kneel before me! You have slain an enemy.
Slow down.
I'm juking this Osiris so bad! Oh my god.
Has been slain.
Oh, you're mine again, Osiris. Come here.
Rampage!
Oh, almost.
Double kill. Triple kill.
Nice, Cupid. Oh no, Cupid.
A mighty sword. A mighty sword. Shut down. I command you. Hell with you. An enemy has been slain.
Wow, 20 and